Right. So, what we discussed in the last session about the high level view, right? So, high level view or uh, about the roles and responsibilities of a business analyst uh, from the context of CRM, right? So, all that part we have discussed in the previous session. Wherein today we are going to discuss about what exactly Salesforce is all about. At the same time, why Salesforce is required for any application development wherein we are going to create all that. So in this regard, so CRM is a Salesforce is a CRM application, as I mentioned you. So this is an application majorly used to create customer relationship management when we are working on the organization. Because CRM is a application required for any organization. It is nothing to do with any domain, right? So irrespective of the technology and the domain, managing customers, right? So managing the contacts of the customers, all these things are essentially required. So Salesforce can be of anything, right? So CRM can be of anything. Either it can be a sales CRM or it can be in healthcare CRM, because there is a healthcare CRM tool as well, right? So as far as the CRM application itself is concerned, where these CRM applications can be integrated with other applications, because in the last session I explained the point, right? So because we can integrate with other commercial applications. For example, the Salesforce application can be integrated with some patient management system from the healthcare point of view I'm talking about, right? So healthcare point of view, they can connect with their patient management system and all, so that they can track the progress of the appointments what they have given to the patients, or else patients can also book appointments online, right? So we can see customer satisfaction, right? So telemedicine, right? So these facilities they can utilize. So these applications are connected, require us to connect, right? So we require to connect and we can connect as well, right? So Salesforce applications are majorly used to manage whatever the required information you want to create, right? So all these things generally Salesforce is required. But majorly from the common applications point of view, two things. Because last session is only in high level view, because hence I have not shared that video. If you want, you please ask me, I'll forward that as well. But it's an overall view, okay? Today you can consider as a fresh session, okay? Point to be noted. So when it comes to the Salesforce as an application, two major things. One is about the configuration part, and second is an integration. Configuration majorly where business analyst roles we are going to involve, okay? Configuration, not integration. Do remember that. Because integration means you are integrating Salesforce application with other enterprise applications. Either it can be for ERP applications, or let's say Salesforce application they are using in the bank. They want to integrate CRM application with some their core banking application, backend operations. Or else if it is used by the insurance companies and all, they want to connect this with the policy management, because normally in insurance domain, there are different services they use, right? So one is for policy center. So policy center uh, is a feature I can say. Just give me a minute, please. 1 minute. Right, sorry. Right, so when you take insurance and all, policy center is a feature. So policy center is a feature where they want to update their policies, right? So whoever has taken the policies and all, they can update in that. It's not only updating the policies, even they want to send any reminders to the people, right? In context to the insurance premium deadlines or something and all, right? So this is for that reason policy center is being used. At the same time, billing, right? So your billing, brokerage commissions, etc., comes under that category. Next one is about the claims, right? So whatever the claim submission was done, at the same time, claim payments we do, settlements, all these things comes under the claims part. Now, Salesforce application can be connecting with some policy center application also, wherein they wants to access the data from there and whatever the required application they wants to create. Okay, whatever the required information they wants to access from the Salesforce from the policy center application. Maybe if they wants to send any kind of customer satisfaction notifications to the customers, right? So for that, what they want, they have to connect with CRM application with policy center, because policy center consists of all the records of the customers to whom already they have already sent the request regarding policies. So they can access it and they can use it accordingly. So this is how generally this integrations and all everything come into picture. When it comes to the integration part, as stated earlier, there are some APIs has to write API we have to create, which is called application programming interface, right? So we need to create an API so that we can access the information from there. That is point number one. Now, when it comes to the configuration part, whatever the features and functionalities as what you see will be remains constant. Whatever the features which CRM, because it's a product by itself which is already created, right? So you're not the one you are doing it as new. This is already there. So what we have to do now, we have to configure this according to the requirements of the company. So what will be the difference here? Let's say, for example, there was some sales page we are creating or some sales report kind of stuff we are creating, where depends on our organization, we may require to make some new fields to the existing ones. Okay. So we want to make some changes in the new existing fields and all. So whenever you want to make some changes in the existing fields and all, it is always important for us to know about what kind of fields you want to change, what kind of fields you want to change and all, and how you want to make uh, change the fields and all everything is what something we have to be good. So this in this regard, configuration is one of the key and important element being into business analyst role. We will be focusing more on. So for that, what we have to do, we need to gather the requirements. Gathering the requirements is important. For example, right, so we are creating a Salesforce application for one of our banking customer. Okay. Banking customer where customer loan account creation we are doing. For example, I'm just giving an example to you roughly. Customer account creation we are doing. So account creations can be of different. Either it can be a regular savings account, it can be, or it can be a current account where business account, I can say, right? So business accounts, or else it can be and save deposit accounts like some fixed deposit accounts, right? So different loan accounts will be there. If a person has taken any loan, so there will be a separate account will be maintained even for loans. So there are different accounts will be maintained within the organization. So whatever the requirement you are taking, right? So you are working as a business analyst for one of a banking customer, for example. So what you have to know, first of all, you must be knowing about what are the different type of accounts customer is using. Means the where you are working and all, right? So what could be the requirements which we want to change? So this sort of understanding is what is required. This sort of understanding is what is required, is what we have to do. So there are some changes which we have to do. This is what generally the changes you want to do. You have to do the changes, whatever the required changes and all everything wants to we have to be performed being a business analyst whenever you are working on the configuration part. Now I'm going to show you how this application looks like. This is a Salesforce application. Enough with the introduction part, which is done already. Now this is what the Salesforce application. In CRM, two prominent applications. One is about Salesforce, second is Dynamics. This is a Salesforce application. The Salesforce application, we have different things. Of course, as I think you might have seen, because using my login credentials and all, I have access this. So that advantage in Salesforce application or else dynamic application advantage, especially these commercial applications have a trial version. So the trial version will be valid for the next 30 days of time. So in 30 days, we can, whoever wants to get some practice and all everything from the learning purpose I'm talking about. Practice, people can use it. That is an advantage. But because whereas other commercial applications, you don't have the choice. For example, we are working on some core banking applications, or else if you want to work on healthcare applications like Faceit, QNext, Health Edge, or if there is any PNC insurance, property and casualty insurance applications like Guidewire, Duck Creek. These applications doesn't have any trial versions or something, right? It's completely a commercial applications where you need to work on those applications in regular intervals. No matter whatsoever reason, you doesn't have any choice to change anything of that sort, right? So you have to use those applications as it is, right? So because we cannot use it for any trial purpose or something. But whereas for CRM application, even ERP doesn't have the choice. SAP doesn't have, because SAP software have required some server access, right? So using the server access only, you can use it. But advantage for CRM application, even for learning purpose also, underline this point. Learning purpose advantage is that we have the trial versions. A person wants to get trained under that can be done it, right? So this is all about. Now, the CRM application of Salesforce here, you can see there are different options. First of all, I'm going to give you a high-level glimpse over the application, what it was there. And this is an application, there will be some data which is already there, right? So there are different tables, report generation and all everything, right? So if you want to view any kind of report, or if you want to generate any kind of qualified leads and all everything from the sales point of view, because sales is one thing, healthcare CRM is another one, right? So there are different industry related CRM processes will be there. Majorly we use the sales is a common this thing, right? So normally we use it. So even report generation means if anybody wants to create any kind of report generations, or if you want to create any kind of leads or something of that sort, we can create. Right? So that is point number one, which is to be noted with. This is all generally to create any kind of leads and all everything. This is what something which normally we'll be using. Do remember, I'm explaining about all the options in today. Okay, I'm not going to explain. I'm not going to you to implement anything here. Okay, do remember, this is the first session. I'm not getting into that. So generating the leads and creating the leads important. And sometimes we can access the leads also. It means if you want to access any kind of leads from the external sources, where we can use it. But there is some limitation, especially when we are using trial version. This is where there will be some limitation. Major difference from commercial real-time applications to licensed trial version is that because there are some options which are not available all the time, right? So there will be an options which are disabled in the trial version, right? So that limitation will be there while we are learning. But of course, that's an ignorable fact for a BA, because business analyst, our focus more on the requirements, understanding and configuration part, all that. So we doesn't have any choice. But other people, yes, there will be a limitation because they don't allow us to open and use all the options which are available on the application, because it's a trial version. If there is a full version is taken, all the options are available. That will be the one. I don't say disadvantage. That is the one challenge usually, right? So it will be there. Otherwise, rest is fine, right? So this is where generally leads means if there is any kind of sales leads and all everything are created. So all these leads can be created in this regard. or else if there is any kind of access of data you want to but that's where I've told you. For example, there is a sales application which we are using in the organization now, right? So we are using already. Now developer has to create a configuration. Admin or development team has to create an API. So they have to connect an API and get it ready. So when there is any kind of data you want to be accessed, we can access here so that you don't require to create any kind of leads and all everything as separate. Here, as I mentioned you, right? For example, if you want to create any kind of leads, you have to create. But normally for learning purpose, it is fine. But whereas in the real world, how many leads will you can create? Because there will be number will be very large, right? So higher in quantity. So accessibility, that's where generally this configuration is required. Why I'm saying is about because of it. Configuration is required because of this reason. So why we are configuring, when we are configuring, our advantage is that whatever the required data you want to be accessed from your application, we can access it. That was the major advantage for the configuration. So that's the reason why configuration is a mandatory one. Okay, because configuration is nothing to his configuration is not optional. Okay, configuration is not optional. Configuration is a mandatory one. You have to do some changes and all other things. So configuration is a mandatory thing for any application to work with. Whatever the required data you want to be accessed to the existing application, we can access it. That is point number one. At the same time, if you want to create any kind of opportunity, right? So my opportunities means if there is any kind of opportunity creations you want to name, right? So you need to provide some opportunity name. Followed by this, you need to select the accounts. Means if you want to create any kind of new account first, because first of all, account creation is important. Account creation depends on the requirement or the account what we are generating. For example, it's a sales account, or it can be a analytics related account, or it can be a healthcare account, or it can be a patient related data you are managing, or claim related transactions you are managing, right? So different accounts has to be created first. So once we have created an account, we need to select the different things, like for example, what kind of role are they playing, right? So for example, this is a role which will be played, type of a role is called analyst. For example, business analyst, right? As an example, because we are all belongs to BA, the reason I'm taking this as an example, right? So an analyst is a kind of type of role which can be used. So apart from the analyst, there will be another roles, because even customer can also use it, right? So even competitors, right? So this can be selected. But as in when we are belongs to the BA category, hence analyst is a kind of role type of this thing which can be used. So accounts can also be created. But even this also, even to create an accounts also, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to create an account and invite an opportunity, data, end of the day, data matters a lot, right? So data will be huge in number. If for creation purpose, we can do it. But whereas in the real world, normally you need to have the configuration with some other commercial applications we are using in the organization so that access can be done, right? So access can be done. And if you want to generate reports, or if you want to view any kind of analytical reports, etc., we can see over here. So why is this needed? Because analytical reports are required for multiple reasons. Normally for analytics, for example, when we are talking about the point called analytics, analytics is majorly confined with data. Okay, analytics is majorly confined and related with data. Why is this related with data? Because if there is any decisions you want to take from the business side, so decisions cannot be taken in vague, right? So we cannot take the decisions on vague. So we need to have a concrete information about the status of a particular thing. For example, you want to know about the sales trends, or you want to know about the customer trends, or you want to know about the customer satisfaction or perception, their expectations, their demands. So using data, whatever is available with us, using some analytical and reporting and all, so that we will be creating some dashboards and report generations were made. So based on the reports what we have generated, so there are some observations we have to make. So these are the points. 1 minute. Reports will be generated. Usually any kind of reports we can generate. This is relating for everything. Okay, report generation will be done. So data analysis, let me write. Data analysis will be made because there will be a different team who do the data analysis, right? So data analysis will be done. So based on the data analysis, reports will be generated. So based on the report generations and all, this will be interpreted. Interpretation, we call it as. Interpretation. Next, observation. Observation or observations. Findings. Last, suggestions. Right? So suggestions means I'm talking about the business suggestions. So based on the business decisions or business suggestions and all, whatever the business decisions will be taken by the business team will be done later. Because analytics is required for this purpose. See, do remember, I am not specifying for any industry here, okay? Analytics is an integral part of any industry. Either it can be healthcare, it can be banking, it can be supply chain, it can be insurance, it can be retail, it can be oil and gas, right? So it can be any of the domain in the industry, in the world, right? So everyone, when they are doing enterprise, managing their enterprises, businesses and all, there are some decisions which they have to be taken, not just on vague, right? So there must be some concrete evidence of information which they have to be calculated. Then based on that, what should be the decision should be taken in their business, right? If they are want to implement any kind of business strategies and all, will be done by them accordingly. So report generation and creating analytical reports is also important for any for any organization. In this regard, they have to have analysis, right? So data, nothing but just now I have told you. For example, you want to gather the leads of the customers, right? So or else if you want to gather different accounts on it, or else, for example, if it's a healthcare application and all, you are managing the data of the patients, right? So whoever has visited your hospital and you want to know about their satisfaction level, pre and post treatment, right? So pre-treatment is different, post-treatment different is. End of the day, you get the referrals based on the post-treatment, right? So whatever the treatment was given, after that, whatever the post-treatment services we have given, this is all comes under the care management. In the healthcare side, I'm talking about care management or case management. Case management is an individual attention. Care management means what kind of quality care you are going to provide it. It can be a palliative care or something like for the patients. This is all for the overall, for the well-being of patients, whoever has visited the hospital for the treatment, all that. So post services, right? So treatment, when once we have given whatever the services you are going to provide, based on that referrals will come in any business. In the same manner, you can take even sales, even for banking or insurance related stuff. So based on the how fast the reimbursement happened in the insurance side, one of the credibility factor. Okay, I am saying I don't say that is only the one which is a critical success factor, but one of the critical success factor for insurance companies is the type of insurance plans they have introduced in the market. So variety of insurance plans followed by the features which are involved in it. That is point number one. Point number two, depends on the reimbursement accuracy, right? So when, for example, if there is any incident, right? Say, for example, vehicle insurance has been taken by someone where some incident, unfortunate situation happened, met with an accident, damage occurred. So how immediate attention is taken by the insurance company and make sure they cross check whether is this happened real or not, right? So anyway, that cross checking and all everything will be done. Based on that, how fast the claim reimbursement has been paid by an insurance company or a payer company is important, right? So we must be knowing about the satisfaction of the customers. So all these for any industry, this is required. In this regard, so whenever there is some analysis we have made, so we create some reports, dashboard reports, analytical reports will be created. So once we have created the reports and all, that has to be interpreted because report cannot be understood by the people, all the team, all the time. So we need to understand the reports. Based on the reports and all, whatever the required interpretation you want to make. Because let's say there are different reports you are creating based on the June wise, right? So June wise reports you have created, or else if it's an insurance application, let's say based on the policy what we have issued so far, right? On that grounds you want to generate reports and all. So that has to be interpreted by the business team, back in the business team I'm talking about. Finally taken by the business team, like decision making will be taken by the business owner, etc. That's a different thing. So interpretation has to be made. So based on the interpretation, we need to see the observations, how the trend happening. So observations, we have to list it out. So once observations, findings and observations. Findings based on that observations. Based on the observations and all suggestions, or else you can call it as recommendations. Recommendations is the right word we use it. Recommendations. Based on that, recommendations will be given. So on that recommendation, whatever the decisions to be taken by the enterprises and all will be done accordingly. So this is where generally this analytics and all everything is what something which we have to be created, right? So if you want to enable it and all everything, so that is can be enabled, right? Report generations has to be enabled, and whatever the yeah, right. So whatever the required thing, right? So if you want to enable fields editing, if you want to make, this is where generally being a BA will be involving. Because if there is any kind of edit you wants to generate, so if you want to edit anything of that sort, here, this is what something being a BA you have to do it. Means these editings is what something you have to make. These are the basic small things. Do remember, right? So because I'm not talking about the authentication and authorizations, oath services, all that. Because authentication, authorization, oath services, so that will be done by the admin team. Because admin team are the people who are having a complete control over the Salesforce console. Whatever the application we are using, control will be on with them. So either if they wants to provide any permissions to someone or revoking the permissions, this is absolutely in their hands, not in other one's hand. Not in other ones. It is completely in their hands. Usually, they will be doing all that, but not by the BA. But basic editings, whatever the editings and changes and all everything, this is where generally we have to make the changes and all that. Means if you want to create any kind of groups, right? So, or else if there is any kind of filters to be created, or else if you want to add any kind of filters to the existing application, for example, created by, right? So this is one kind of filter created by, which is equals to, right? So whatever the value you want to mention, I'm not just mentioning some value, okay? Don't take it this thing, right? So for example, 28 is a value which I've taken, right? So those values we have to make and we need to add those created by equals to, for example, 28 is a value which I have given. For example, apply. So filters we have to create. When you are doing filters, what happen? The advantage in filter is, I'll tell you the importance of filter, especially from the uh, front end. When you are using application, how it is useful, I'll tell you filter. For example, you want to buy a vehicle, a four-wheeler vehicle you want to buy. Now, when you want to buy a vehicle, you will be having lot of options in your mind, right? So a lot of options will go through in your mind, but you're in a state of confusion where you want to know about the features. What are the different features are available in the four-wheeler? What type of four-wheeler are you planning to buy? At the same time, budget, maybe company, right? So different things are there. Now, nowadays you can see, of course, this is not something which is new, right? So you guys might have been experienced these things earlier also. So if you want to see the comparison, right? So if you want to see the comparison, for example, the value of a particular vehicle is some X amount. That is your budget, your planning. Within that budget, whatever the required features and all you want to see everything. Okay, you want to see and you want to see the comparison with the availability of the vehicle. That anyway, that is depends on the demand. That is a different, right? So the type of vehicle it was. So what are the list of features that that vehicle consists of, and what will be the fuel capacity performances. So based on that, you want to see the comparison of the vehicles by giving some input details. Input details means price range from so and so to so and so, right? What type of vehicle? Type of vehicle you will be selected, either it can be a sedan or it can be anything, right? So hatchback or something, right? So you can select the type of vehicle it was. So if you want to select some other, any other exceptional options and all everything, you can select. So whenever you are selecting and whenever you are clicking on search, automatically you get the results, right? So you get that at least comparison depends on the information what you have given. You may be getting a comparison of two different vehicles, or two or three or four, based on the region of the brand of the band of price which you are about to invest on, right? So it will be showed everything to there. It will be shown everything to you. So, so that based on that, whatever the decisions to be taken, being a customer to you, which kind of vehicle is something more suitable for according to your personal as well as the professional needs and all, will be taken by the decision by a customer. Based on that, we buy the vehicle. So this is where generally filters come into picture. Means there are some filter creation has to be done in back of the application. So ease of working on the application, because whoever is working on the application, we have to make their work easier, not so complicated. User side, I'm talking about user should make the use of the application much easier. So for that, what is required? It's always important for us to create some filters. So filter creation is also one of the key responsibility being a BA we will be doing. Underline this point, right? So filter creation is required. So there are different filters you can create, right? So filters creation is what something we have to do it. So based on the filters what you have created, as I stated earlier, right? So based on that, when they are using the application on the front end, whoever is using Salesforce application, so that their work is will become much easier. As an example, I have given uh, given you some time back, right? So these are the advantages comes under these filters, etc., right? So everything can be created in this regard. Next, at the same time, if there are different accounts that is there, that then that is not something of much this thing, right? So if you have any accounts and all, we can, I already told you. Or else if you want to import any kind of data, right? So if you want to access any kind of data, we can import it by connecting with other application. Sometime back I told you, right? So if you want to import any data from outside, right? So you can import the CSV file, right? So you can select the import CSV file and we can access it. But there will be for limitations for some features, not all the features. Means if you want to import any kind of files and all everything, you can import. You can import from your external sources and all, right? So for example, I want to import a file from outside, wherein I can do that. Some data set, I'm just taking a data set, okay, for example, right? So exams is a data I've taken, okay, for example, right? So if I want to import any kind of data, I can import it, right? So that anyway, that I'll be showing it later. I'll take some data sets. I will take some XML, Excel data sets and I'll show you. Okay, because these are the whatever the data sets I'm taking these exams and all not relevant here, because this is relating to sales, right? So healthcare, etc. That data I'll be taken and I'll how to add and how to you make a use of it. I'll tell you later. Okay, this is how we have to connect with, and you can click on it automatically. The data can be updated. That data can be uploaded to the existing application. So this is for the uploading purpose. But if you want to access this, access is different. If you want to access this API configurations, you have to make conditions apply, right? So configurations we have to make by connecting with external applications, because this is importing. We are importing the data when it is needed. But if you are configuring this application so that the data can be accessed by us automatically, and whatever the required work you have to be performed, we can do it easily. So these are all something relating to the accounts and all that. At the same time, assigning label means if you want to assign any kind of labels and all everything, we have to create labels. Labels are something used for the easy identification. If you remember, if you can go back to the Jira application when I have shown you, if you remember or not, I'm not sure. Right. So there also you can see there is an option called label when we have created any we have created any user story, right? So whenever we have mentioned story points in the side of the page, right? So if you can see over here, there you can see labels. Labels are easy for us to identify, right? So if you want to identify easily, then labels are being used for that regard. So even if you want to create any kind of labels or something like that, so we can do it. Two options, either you can create a new account as separate, or if you want to access any data from outside, that also can be done here. Next of that, after that, sales reports and all, and means if you want to create any kind of leads or opportunities, I already told you a couple of times, I told you. Yeah, right. So all these things we can do it. At the same time, services point of view. Services means what are the, because if there is any kind of case which was customer has raised, right? So customer support team has to track it, because CRM application major one of the advantage is this, right? So they wants to track the request of the customers and all that. So and resolution has to be made within no time. Then only they have the validity. Otherwise, there is no value. So how you are going to track the data, right? So how you are going to track those, right? So that is important, right? So because customers will raise the request from multiple sources, multiple base, right? So multiple platform they raise a request, right? So that request has to be received by us, and we have to make the data required. So what are the open cases as of now you have, right? So which still we want to solve, okay? And at the same time, what are the different cases? Is it a service case? Then service case options will be a separate. Or else if you want to open my open cases, right? For example, for a particular person, it will be there, right? So for example, change owner means depends on the ownership. Ownership means people who are responsible for a particular case to be resolved, right? So based on that, what are the different cases are available are open as of now, and how many tickets am I going to close? So all these things has to be done by this customer support team. The major purpose, one of the major, right? So I don't say this is only the one, but one of the major purpose under Salesforce CRM applications we are using due to this reason. Next, this is about the outreach part. Outreach is not something we require. So because any email templates or something like to send auto emails and all everything over the notifications and all everything with the customers, right? So if you want to create any kind of list of emails and all, we can. So on the particular date and time, something like, or else, for example, some request which was made by the customer has been resolved by us, so that automatically we need to send an email to them stated that customer that services were resolved, right? So services resolved. Thank you for contacting to us. So we are sending an email and all everything to the people whoever has raised the request. That is one more option we can use it. At the same time, commerce, right? So of course, because CRM, as I told you, right? So CRM is not only for one purpose, right? So even e-commerce CRM will be there, sales CRM is there, marketing CRM, healthcare CRM, right? So different CRMs are there. So for end of the day, whatever the CRM application, whatever the type of CRM are we using, end of the day, whatever the basic configurations you want to make, whatever the workflows you want to create for a particular service, whatever the kind of creation of filters or tables and all everything. These are all the common activities any business analyst has to be done. So how you are doing based on the request and the requirements which we have gathered. That's the reason why BA is connecting to Salesforce or any other application because of it. Because Salesforce application have all the options, but depends on the requirement which we have taken within our organization or from the client, whatever the necessary changes you want to make or filters creation to make use of this application by the users and all everything. So this is where generally being a BA, our role is more important to even to gather the requirements, etc. All that we do it. So application wise experience, this is. And if you want to have some project experience, some Salesforce related project and the same, whatever the BRD is, right? So that also can be done. But then if that anyway, that is a common thing which you have learned so far, right? So you have taken a retailing application. If it's not retail, some other application. But end of the day, how to understand the business problem, how you have gathered the requirements, How do you have created document? These are all common things for any application. It is nothing to do with Salesforce. It is nothing to do with CRM or maybe of any other application. The process, I'm talking about the process. Process remains same. Case study may vary. But here, application knowledge. Application knowledge means how to make filters creation, right? How to create any kind of workflows, tables. These configurations is what something which being a business analysis, we have to be good with. Is it clear, everyone? Understood, Bhavik, Garima, Lola, Samira? Clear or not?
Yes, sir.